Please turn to 2 Kings chapter 21. 2 Kings chapter 21. I will join you there in just a minute or two. After Israel lived through the chaos of warlords and judges, the people cry out for the stability of a king. They have a problem. They think a king's the answer, but it's not. When you read at the end of Judges, the problem was everyone was doing what was right in their own eyes. And that doesn't change when they get kings. They have a king already, but instead of the king of heaven, they would like a king like the nations have. They reject God as king, and he hands them over to what seems good to them. From Saul and David all the way down to Zedekiah, the people got what they asked for. They had a king exactly like the nations. From first to last, they were ruled by flawed men, and more often than not, by men who had forgotten God. When they were lost or confused, they didn't consult God. Instead, they looked for leadership and protection from the same nations who repeatedly robbed and killed them. They exchanged unbridled love himself for idols that were tame and safe. And they did that over and over again. The people chose kings, the kings chose to do what seemed right to them, and everyone forgot about God. Probably the worst king we read about is the one whose name means forget. That's King Manasseh. Go ahead and read with me here in 2 Kings chapter 21, starting in verse 1. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hephzibah, and he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to the despicable practices of the nations whom the Lord drove out before the people of Israel. For he rebuilt the high places that Hezekiah his father had destroyed, and he erected altars for Baal. He made an Asherah, as Ahab king of Israel had done, and he worshipped all the hosts of heaven, and he served them. He built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord had said, "In Jerusalem I will put my name." And he built altars for all the host of heaven in the two courts of the house of the Lord. And he burned his son as an offering, and used fortune telling and omens, and he dealt with mediums and with necromancers. He did much evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to great anger. And he carved, and the carved image of Asherah that he made, he set in the house of the Lord, in which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, "In this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. And I will not cause the feet of Israel to wander any more out of the land that I gave to their fathers, if only they will be careful to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them." But they did not listen, and Manasseh led them astray to do more evil than the nations had done whom the Lord destroyed before the people of Israel. Manasseh did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. We read earlier that Jeroboam made 2 golden calves to replace going to the temple. But Manasseh sets up an idol in the very heart of the temple and in its courts. We read that Samuel warned the people that kings would take their children away. But we read here that Manasseh kills his own son and then leads the people that he was ruling to do the same thing, making them do more evil than the nations that God used them to drive out of the land. Manasseh was perhaps the most evil king of God's people, but God forgives him. In 2 Chronicles 33, we read that after God sends disastrous judgment upon Manasseh, that this king remembers God. He prays, he repents, and then he tries to undo some of his evil. And it's absolutely incredible to imagine God forgiving a man like this. a man completely undeserving. And it's so beautiful that God does this. It's because of Manasseh's evil that God makes this promise in Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 38. You can turn there if you'd like. Jeremiah 31, starting in verse 38. God says through Jeremiah, "Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when the city shall be rebuilt for the Lord, from the tower of Hananel to the corner gate, and the measuring line shall go out farther, straight to the hill of Gareb, and shall then turn to Goah. The whole valley of dead bodies and ashes, and all the fields as far as the brook Kidron, to the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be sacred to the Lord. It shall not be plucked up or overthrown any more forever." The area described here, this whole valley of dead bodies and ashes, is called the Hinnom Valley, as a place so terrible that by the time of the New Testament, by Jesus' day, the Jews have gotten their word for hell from this place, the Hinnom Valley, Gehenna. And it's in this valley where Manasseh murdered his son and led the people he ruled to do the same thing. But in Jeremiah 31, at the close of this chapter promising a new covenant, God also promises to turn this cursed and evil place into one that is sacred and eternal. No king of Jerusalem can be called royal when compared to this King of Kings. They're not even close. Even the great kingdom of Solomon passed away, and his legacy is that he reintroduced idols to the people. You read through the book of Kings and you see that when in desperate need, these kings taught the people to reach out to every god except the true God, and to reach out to every king except the true king. Our king has taught us a better way. His way is good, his kingdom will never pass away, and neither will those who stand in it. Our king has all royal authority, and unlike the kings of men, he does not consider that authority to be a thing to be grasped. Instead, he wildly forgives. This king alone deserves our loyalty, our worship, and our lives. And if we come to him, there's no power in existence that can separate us from his transforming love. The reason destruction came on these people over and over again is because they did not honor this king. They tried to make their own kingdoms, make their own rules, be safe through their own power, and over again that fails them. And the leaders that they begged God for lead them to more and more sin. If you need to come back to this kingdom, if you've gone astray, or if you haven't made God your king, then we can help you do that. We stand and sing this invitation song.